Okay, here is the project we're painting on this video. And this is a cell phone stand. It's from Patricia Rawlinson's website, creativeartslifestyle.com. I love her phone stands and her tablet stands. They are so much fun to paint on. Plus, you can paint both sides. Now, I did not paint another flower, or I was thinking of doing a poppy on the back of this, but who knows. But this was so much fun and so unbelievably quick and easy. Perfect gift for Mother's Day because everybody's got a cell phone these days. So we're going to paint this together, so let's get started. Okay, we're going to get started on this project. This is another phone stand from creativeartslifestyle.com. That's Patricia Rawlinson's website. And it slides together like this. And then these are your little pieces here that keep your phone from sliding off. And then you can set your phone on there and attach your charger. It's got plenty of room for that. So she has several different designs of phone holders and tablet stands, and I love them. I think they are so much fun to paint. So we're going to get started on this one. The first thing that I want to do is just lightly sand it. Just to get any of the high stuff off of there. Any of the raised grain. It's going to raise back up once we put the sealer on it, but hopefully it won't raise up as much. And I'm just using a foam sanding pad here. You just want to do both sides. You can do your edges as well. We'll be painting the edges on this one. My last phone holder that I did not paint the edges. I kind of wanted to leave them the color that they were. Kind of went with the color scheme I was going with. But this time it's going to be a little bit different. So the first thing we want to do is put a coat of multi-purpose, or two. I probably will put two on this, multi-purpose sealer. So I'm going to show you how I put it on. And you can certainly put it on with a brush or any kind of sponge. But I have this inking dauber that Patricia Rawlinson sells these on her website as well, but I think I got mine at Hobby Lobby. I think I bought one from her and then I found one at Hobby Lobby, but I like to dampen the sponge on here. So I just put it down in my water and let the water kind of soak into it, and then I want to get a lot of the water out. I don't want hardly any water in here, but I like for it to be damp, and the reason I do is because I think when I go to clean it, it makes the paint or whatever you're using come out easier. If I don't get especially the edges of it damp, then it will dry on the edges and make the edges hard, and then like my other one here, I had a lot of stuff that dried in on the edges, and I had to go in and kind of scrape it off and cut it off, and I don't want to have to do that. But if I dampen it first, and as soon as I'm done with it, I go wash it out, then I don't have that issue. Even just letting it soak in my water basin, it would build up on those edges. So I'm just going to put some on my sponge here, and I'm just going to coat the entire thing with this multi-purpose sealer. And I will do 2 coats on this particular project because it's raw wood, and once you put anything with moisture onto raw wood, it is going to cause the grain to raise up. And this will keep you from having to sand in between coats, and you won't have to use as much paint to get coverage for your base colors and stuff. So this is a good practice to get into no matter what type of surface that you are painting on. And a lot of times I will mix my multi-purpose sealer in with my base coat of paint. Especially if I'm painting on MDF or Masonite, because that type of stuff doesn't really have a grain that will raise as bad. So you can mix it in with your base coat with that stuff. So I'm going to let this dry. It will dry pretty quickly. And coat on this side. And then I'm going to lightly sand it again with a sponge sanding pad. If you don't have a sponge sanding pad, you can use a brown paper bag to just knock the grain back. And then put another coat on it and sand it again. And then we're going to come back and get our base coats on. I want to do something a little bit different with the background of this one. Okay, I've got the 2 coats of sealer on here, and this one is sanded pretty good. So it's very smooth. Now this one I haven't sanded at all. It's very rough. Smooth, rough. You can feel the grain when it's raised. So just lightly sand it. This is a ultra fine sanding pad. I really don't know what it was used for. It came in a great big sheet, and my husband cut it up into sections for me. I've had it for years and years and years. It may have been used for ceramic type stuff, I don't know. But you can use it wet or dry. I love it. And I've cut the sheets up into all different sizes, so depending on what I'm sanding. But like I said, you can use a brown paper sack and sand it as well. Okay, so we've got it sanded now. So now I want to base coat it. We want to get 2 coats of our base coat on. Now you can, I'm going to do my background in yellows. But you could do yours in greens, so you could base coat it with a foliage green or a Hauser light green and then add a couple of darker greens on top. I'm going to base coat mine with buttermilk. And you probably won't be able to see a whole lot of change in the color when I put it on here because buttermilk is very similar to the color of the wood already. So I'm just going to use the same sponge and sponge it on here. Now when you get to your edges, you want to kind of push out towards your edges so that you don't get a lot of paint going over the sides. Right there still feels a little rough right there, so I'm going to have to sand that again. I didn't get that spot sanded very well. So we're going to do both sides of this, as well as the edges, and try not to let any paint roll over, you know, one side or the other. Oops. And there we go. So there's the side I've painted, and this is the color of the natural wood. It's not a whole lot of difference that you can see there. But we're just going to put a couple of nice coats on here. Doing it with the sponge will help you keep the paint a little thin with your layers. You won't have so much buildup. And I just think it makes a much nicer background surface for us to build on. So we're going to get 2 coats of buttermilk on all sides of this. Front, back, and sides. With your sponge, if you have one. If you have just a artist sponge, you can do the same. Oops. I'll show you what an artist sponge looks like. This is an artist sponge, and you can buy them in a package of like 3 of them for $2 or $3 at Michael's. Hobby Lobby sells them as well. I'm not sure what the price is. It's been so long since I bought any. They may have gone up in price, but when I bought them, you could get a package of 3 for just $2 or $3. And you can also get them in a package with a sea sponge and I think some other kind of sponge for $5 or $6, which is a pretty good deal because then, you know, your sea sponge you're going to use occasionally, and you know, you might as well have a variety of sponges that you can create different backgrounds with. But you can put it on just the same way with this type of sponge. So if you've got one of these, you can use that as well. Okay, I'm going to get my 2 coats on, then we're going to come back and start building on the background. Okay, we're going to get ready to work on the background of these. And I'm going to use this sponge. Now this is just a piece of those foam mattress things that you can put on your bed for, you know, extra back support and stuff. So I've just got a bunch of little pieces of this that I use regularly. This one's getting pretty worn, but you can use a sea sponge as well to do this. I just like this because I think it's a little softer look than a sea sponge. So I'm going to dampen it in my water. I always use my sponges damp. And I'm just going to take it on my paper towel and get any of the excess water out. We don't want it wringing wet. And I wanted to give you a tip when you clean sponges like this, or any sponge for that matter. Rinse them out with water, and then if all the paint or whatever you use hasn't come out, put some hand sanitizer and work it into it. And I just usually work it down into the basin of my sink and work it all in there and until you know, I might have to do it 2 or 3 times, depends on what color is in there, until the water runs clear, and then rinse it out really, really good, because hand sanitizer has a lot of alcohol in it. And if you don't rinse it out of your sponges, especially these inking pads, real good, it will dry out your sponge, and then your sponge won't be as good to use. So we've got a damp sponge here, and on my palette I have yellow ochre, antique gold, and this is watermelon slice. It's a new color. I want to put some of those on the background here. I set my paint out a little while ago, so I had a phone call, so now it is starting to dry a little bit. You can see it's a little dry there, so I'm going to pick up this yellow ochre on one tip of that, and then this is the antique gold. I'm going to pick this color up on the other. Just kind of work those in. I don't want a ton of paint. Okay, so then I'm just going to start tapping this on the background and kind of blending it and softening it. Well, you can see that on the camera. We're just going to create a subtle little background. And then I just use a damp edge of my sponge to kind of soften and blend it. You could pre-dampen this surface a little bit if you wanted, just to keep your paint from getting too carried away. We'll do the bottom, and we'll do the backs as well. You might get a little bit more texture using a sea sponge, but you can still take a damp edge of the sea sponge and blend it out nicely. Okay, I'm going to get my misting bottle because I want to lightly mist this. And then I'm going to take a corner down here and dip it into that watermelon slice. This is a new color. I have not used this yet, but I'm going to be using this color in my flower. So I want to put some of this back in here. So I'm just going to tap a little bit on and then blend it out. I don't want it to be super bright, but I want to see that color back in there. And if you're using greens, then you would use just three shades of green probably. You could also put this if your tulip is going to be the same color, which is what we're going to be putting on here, you can use this same color in the tulip itself. And you'll don't forget to do your pieces there too as well. I'll get that yellow and all that pretty stuff too. So we've got a nice little mottled background there. Love that. That watermelon slice is the color. It's very, very pretty color. Well, so far I'm kind of just blending it out, but I think I'm gonna end up liking this color a lot. Oops, a bit too much there, so let me kind of take that down. Just tap it and then take a wet edge and blend it nicely. Okay, that one's got a little bit more pink on it, so I might add a little bit more up in here. Of course, that's going to be part that sticks out behind. I don't want it to get too carried away with the pink, but I really love how that gives it a really nice background. So I'm going to get my little pieces here done, and I'm going to flip it over and do the back, and you can put some color along the edges too so it doesn't stay that lighter color. And we're going to come back and get our pattern on. Okay, I've got my backgrounds done. I'm going to lightly sand them. I want to keep my base coat as smooth as possible. So if I feel like it's raised the grain any at all, I'm going to sand it. And I even did my edges, put a little bit of paint on the edges. Now the only places that don't have paint is in this groove, in these grooves here, and inside the grooves here. It just would probably build up too much and, you know, be a little bit more difficult to paint. And then might not want to go together as nicely. So especially down in here, you don't want to get any paint in that groove. So I'm just lightly sanding these real quick, taking off any raised stuff. And now I feel like my background has gotten a little bit too dark. I'm sure it will be fine once I paint my design on here, which my design is a tulip. But I want more on my background. I mean, to me, you just can never have too much. Well, you probably could have too much, but I really like layering stuff on my background. And so I was looking for maybe a small flower stencil that would look cute back here, but I couldn't find anything. So I came across these two stencils that I have. This one is a plaid stencil. Just kind of swirly things. And then I have this set of stencils that I bought in the scrapbooking section. They're Recollections brand, which you can find at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. And I like this little butterfly one here. Butterflies in the background. I probably won't put that many in there, but I thought it would be cute to sprinkle some butterflies around in the background. And I'm not really sure what color I want to use, but I think I will start with a light buttermilk. And maybe I'll put a little yellow ochre out. Just to maybe blend them. Now what I like to put when I'm stenciling smaller things, I like to use these fingertip daubers. And so it's just another small little inking sponge. You can find these in a package of 3, like this, at Hobby Lobby. You can buy them individually at creativeartslifestyle.com. You can get them on Amazon. Probably Michael sells them as well in individual ones or sets, I'm not sure. So I've dampened that just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to let's see, where's my pattern? My tulip is going to be here, or I could turn it over and have it this direction. I haven't quite decided. I initially drew it on to go this way, so I'll probably stick with it that way. So I want my butterflies to, so I'm just tapping a little bit on the end of this and kind of blending it into the sponge. I don't want a whole lot of paint on there, I just want a little bit. I want these to stay very subtle in the background. So let's start down here. Tap one in here, maybe one here. Very, very subtle. put one that's like half and half here. I'll put it this direction. You won't really see it much of it once the leg part goes on here. So I just want to put these randomly all around, not necessarily over the whole thing, but picking up more paint, working it into the sponge. So I think these are going to be really cute on here. Some of them will be covered up with the flower, but I wanted them back in there in case a little of it peeks out behind. So let's see, my tulip goes this direction. So that one you won't even see at all. So I might put one over here and then work some up through there. I could put my pattern on. That would probably make it a whole lot easier for me to decide where to put my butterflies. Yes, putting the pattern on would be much, much easier. Oops. Well, that didn't work out so good now, did it? Let's see, I want a bigger butterfly over here. Let's do this one. And you can have these butterflies going right off of the side of this. They don't have to be all just in the center. Let's put one down here. So you just create your butterflies where you want them. And you don't have to do butterflies at all. So don't feel like this is something that you have to do. And I will put some on the legs as well. So I think I'll do one more over here, one that's kind of partially on here. I'm going to get my pattern on and see if I want to put any more in there. But right now okay, I've got all my pieces dry. My butterflies are on both sides, even on my little pieces. I've got my pattern transferred on, so we'll be done with these pieces for now. I don't know if I'm going to do something with them later. I wanted to give you a tip about cleaning your stencils. The best way to clean them, even if you've let them set and paint has dried completely on them, is to put the hand sanitizer on there. Just the regular Germ-X hand sanitizer. Just squirt it all on there and gently rub it with your finger and let it set on there, for about 20 seconds. Okay, and then you take a very soft toothbrush and under cool running water, just gently remove that paint, and then you'll have your stencil good as new. It's a very good tip for keeping your stencils in good condition. Okay, now my tulip is going to be kind of on the light pink side, I think, because I really am looking forward to using that watermelon slice color. So I am going to base my tulip, each petal individually. I'm going to paint them in individually so that I can retain my lines. If you paint it in and you can no longer see your lines, then go ahead and put your pattern back on, but put it on very lightly, because you'll have to put it on with gray graphite, and you don't want any of that showing through when you're done. And then the stem we're going to paint with Hauser Light Green. So I'm going to get that on 2 coats on both, and the stem will also be, we'll go ahead and paint it in Hauser, well, you know what, let's see, let's paint it in with avocado dip. Okay, so the stem will paint in with avocado dip, the leaf with Hauser Light Green, and the petals with Highlight Flesh is the color that I'm using. I thought about going with pink chiffon, so you could probably go with pink chiffon as well. It's a little more on the pink side, and this is a little bit more on the brown side, I guess. So either one of these will do, pink chiffon or Highlight Flesh, whatever that you have handy. That's what we're going to paint this in, and then we're going to come back and get busy adding our details. I need to adjust my camera, I can see right now, so that you can see that a little bit better. So let's get our base coats on, and we'll start going on this. Alright, I've got my 2 coats of Highlight Flesh here, 2 coats of How's It Like Green, and 2 coats of Avocado Dip. So now we're going to start working on the tulip here, getting some color on that. So we're going to go with our Watermelon Slice, this new color. Oh, I love this color. It's what we kind of put in the background here. Alright, let's get a curved flat brush. Let's go with a 10 curved flat, low Cornell brush. I sell the brushes on my website, Low Cornell Brushes, LonnaStrokeOfArt.com, and the curved flats are my absolute favorite brushes. Alright, now I'm going to show you how I'm going to load my brush. I show this in all of my videos, so if you've watched any of my videos, you've probably seen it many times. So I spritzed the end of my palette here with water, just from a fingertip sprayer that I got in the travel section. And the camera probably doesn't show it very well, but I have teeny tiny little drops of water, and then bigger drops of water. The more you spray in one area, I'll show you right here, the more you spray in one area, the bigger your drops will get. Okay? So now I've got great big drops, and then teeny tiny ones all scattered throughout here, and then some more medium-sized ones. Okay, so when I pick up water, I will pick it up probably on the curved side of the brush. Sometimes when I need some water in with my paint, I'll pick it up on the toe of my brush, because that's where I put my paint. So I'm going to make sure I've got water in my brush. Pick up the paint on the toe, and then I work it in right here. And I want this to be a very soft, washy float. I want to build my colors slowly, because I don't want a whole lot of color on this tulip, but the color that I put on there I want to be very, very soft. So you can kind of see my my petals on here. So I'm going to try and keep them as separated as I can. So I've got this petal that's going up this way. This is the one that's in the front. So I just want to put a little bit of this color on there. Get a mop brush, because I always mop my floats. I like to get them softened back. Alright, let's put a little bit up here on this side, a little bit more paint. I'm going to try to keep it turned so that you can see it and me be able to float it at the same time. That. It's a little bit darker than what I wanted, but we'll see how it goes here. So I picked up a couple of drops of water. Now this particular petal, I don't really want to draw on it, but I will, so you can see. This petal is like turned right here. So that's the inside of the petal, and this is the outside of it. So I want to, I think before I paint on that, I really want that line erased. I just drew it so you could see where I was going, but I don't really want it on there because these colors are pretty sheer and I know I won't be covering it up. So this is the outside of that petal. one right here. Here, kind of up on the toe because that's a really tight place there. I'm going to get a little bit more paint because I want this to be a little bit darker here. Okay, so that edge is a little bit darker. I've got a little one back here, but I'm going to keep the wipe a little bit of that paint off. I'm going to keep this color kind of back there. And then I'm going to wipe some of the paint off and pick up some water and just blend the water on my brush. So I don't have hardly any color on my brush now because I wiped the paint off and just picked up some water. I want to put a little bit of this color in here. Not a whole lot. Okay, let's get some Snow White. Create a little bit more defined edges on here. So down here, I'm going to be a little bit lighter. Just kind of walk that up a little bit. Pretty bright here on this edge, and it will come down into the tulip a little bit. This will be our bright place on the tulip. And we'll have some of this down here. And down through here. Kind of using the toe of my brush, move that around a little bit. I have some back in here. And down here, I think we'll put a little bit. Alright, so we want to come back and intensify on this watermelon color. Here. I'm going to do my back sections first. Back here. I feel like I need some here. I'm not sure if that's where I really need it or not. This petal is going to get darker. And then we want to do out here and get more water because I want to walk this over. And the water will help me do that. Help me bring it over. This way. Do the same over here. I'm not going to walk it in as far. Just going to keep it right there. Alright, I want to put some more white back on here. And my bright areas, which is down here at the bottom, on this outer edge. Right in here. On this very tip here. I don't know if I put some there a while ago or not. Up there. Get that a little bit brighter. Right here. give it a little bit of a wiggle. Give that tulip a little bit of character there. I'm going to kind of just pull it down the center. And then right in here. Alright, let's get a 10-0 liner brush. It's my favorite liner brush. It's a low Cornell brush. My mop brush is a Maxine's mop, and I also sell it. It is also a low Cornell product. Now, to clean your mop brush, I show this in all my videos too. So let me get a nice little clean damp place there. But to clean it, you take it, you use it dry, and you go to the damp place and you clean the paint out. Then you go to a dry, clean place, and you get the moisture out. And then it is clean and good to go. Alright, so for using our liner brush, I'm going to pick up some water from my water basin. I'm going to carry it over here to my paint. Pull some paint out and thin my paint down to inky consistency. Something in my paint there. Don't really want that coming off and getting in my paint. Okay, so I've got it nice inky consistency. So then I wash my brush out completely, get all that excess water and paint out of it, and dry it off. Dry the ferrule off especially. And then when I load it, I just go right here to my paint, load it up, give it a little twirl if you want. Make sure your ferrule is dry. Touch it to your paper towel to get any paint that may have run to the tip off. And now we're just going to put some streaks into this tulip with our liner brush. Touch back with my finger a little bit there to soften them. Got this petal here. And this one back here. Don't really see nothing much there. Okay, I'm going to define that edge of that tulip a little bit more. It doesn't look quite how I want it to look. So I want it to come up and around like that a little bit more. I need to darken over here. To this one. Back here. A bit in here. I think I want a little bit of darker color back in here. I'll do my white again. This outer edge. Excuse my dog barking. She is downstairs and my husband is outside, so she's probably barking at my husband. You can just probably hear that somebody's walking in the yard and doesn't know who it is. this up down the middle. A little bit here. That is a very pretty looking tulip. Alright, I want that white paint to dry a little bit. I'm going to get some of my greens out. So I've got avocado dip, Hauser light green, and avocado. And you could have put some of the greens in the background as well. I really love the background on this piece. I think it turned out wonderful. Oh, goodness. My paint bottle is burping at me like a bullfrog here. What a mess, what a mess. Okay. I'm going to want to maybe glaze over that tulip here in a minute. But for now, I want to put some green up on the tulip. So I'm going to take some of my avocado and mix a little bit of Hauser light green in with it. Make a nice looking green there. This may still be too light. I want to put some of this color down here at the base of this tulip. I don't want it to come up on it too much. Okay, it's a little bit darker than what I wanted, but we'll go with it here. Alright, we're going to take our avocado. We're going to shade underneath the base of the tulip. And then I'm going to be up on the toe here because this is a narrow area. I want to bring it down the stem on the left side all the way down. Got some eraser caught in it there. Alright, I'm going to take some avocado dip, I think. Maybe put that up in here. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. That green mix was a little bit too dark for me. Okay, so now I want to add a little bit of light color on the light side. So I'm going to take the avocado dip and some Snow White. Just lighten up the avocado dip just a little bit. And we're going to put this on the side of the stem, kind of staying up on the toe. That eraser stuff in my brush. Alright, so now we're going to take the avocado. I'm still just using this 10 curve flat. Okay, I'm going to show you what I just did. I mixed some paint here, but let me clean my brush off and show you what I did. I dipped into my avocado. Okay. Then I dipped into my watermelon slice. And I mixed them together, which made a darker green. Okay. It's like a dirty green, I guess. So this stem, you can have it be folded, like that. It's also going to have a vein down the center of it. Okay, so we'll leave that fold in there, and we will shade along that fold. And we'll just bring it on down here to the end of it. Okay. Pick up some more paint, water if you need it, and we're going to shade next to the vein. think that dark green mix that I made, just washed my brush out, but I'll reload it. I want to put some back here on this edge of the tulip stem. Okay, now that looks nice. Okay, I'm going to darken that, so I'm going to mix a little bit more. Plus, I need to put some of this. I need some of this out here. I'm up on the toe, because this is a very tight area. I don't want this float to go too awful crazy into that. Got it there. I'm going to put, you can see I've got a little bit more pink in it than I had the first time. But that's okay, because that's one of our colors, so we can have that in here. No problem. Alright, let me pick up more green of the avocado green. Just going to blend it on my brush with what I've already got in there. And I want to darken next to the stem. Add some highlights with some avocado dip. Let's see, I'm going to erase that line down the center here. I think, oops, the paint wasn't quite dry there, so I just erased my paint. Probably can't really tell, but right there I just erased some paint. I want to put some of that dark green on the other side of that vein. Kind of leave a little gap there, so don't go all the way right next to it. We'll leave a little gap there that we can add a highlight to. Okay, our highlight, we're going to go with avocado dip. This is a very easy, very quick project, and would make a wonderful gift. I mean, who doesn't have a cell phone these days? Very pretty little stand. And you can paint on the back side as well. You could paint something else on this side so they could have a reversible stand. I love it. Alright, up that side. I want to do a little bit more highlighting, I think. I'm going to take my liner brush and a little bit of water. I don't want it as thin as I had it a while ago, the inky consistency, but I want it fairly thin so that it will flow off of my brush. And I'll put this down the center vein. Alrighty, a little bit more of this avocado dip. Just repeat to intensify. I think I'm going to go put some of this back on this stem. I want that stem to be a little bit more bright green. Kind of got muted too much with mixing that white with it, so we'll just add a little bit more of that in there. Okay. Going to do it on this side again. Up on the toe as you get to the more narrow places. Alright, I want to mix a little bit of that avocado with some more of that watermelon slice, just to make it a dark green again. Okay, I want to put it next to the center vein. Both sides. we can pick up a little bit of that watermelon slice. I'm just going to mix it right on my brush. And I still had that green in there, and so I just picked it up, and so it just made the red more dirty. So you see that's the pure color, and then this is just mixed with that little bit of green that I still had in my brush. I'd used almost all of the paint. There was still a little bit in there, so I just want to kind of glaze this in a few places. I'm going to put it on the stem. Oops, put it up on the wrong side of my brush. I'll put a little bit of it here. Bring that down a little bit. So that's carried that color into that. So I think I'll make a little bit more of that kind of dirty red. So it's mostly the red with just a little bit of the green in there. And I'm going to come up here and add a little bit more detail in here. I have to go redo my white there a little bit. I just want to put a little bit of this on this edge. I don't want it to go all the way up. Okay, let me do my white here. That's looking pretty darn good. Alright, now I don't know if I'm going to like this or not, so we'll see. If I don't like it, I'm going to wash it off real quick. I'm going to create a glaze of that watermelon slice. And it's going to be pretty sheer, mostly water. Go into your water drops over here or your clean water in your basin. You put that green in there, then that's going to add that color on there. So now I'm going to touch my paper towel to get a lot of the excess water out. And then I think I'll glaze over my tulip. Stay inside my lines. Put a little bit of this still. I still have a little bit of my brush. A little bit of this on here. Alright, I think I need the folded edge of that leaf to be a little bit brighter. So let's get some more avocado dip. Put it up here. And a little bit more along the stem. Up on the toe. Oops. I just about lost my shading there. Alright, just a tad bit more of the avocado back here. The avocado is a bright color, so it's going to pull that stem a little bit more into focus. Put a little bit of this here. This is just the avocado. tiny bit of red in with that green, that avocado. And we'll put this underneath here. Pull it down a little bit. I need to separate these stem from the leaf a little bit more. Mix a little bit more of that avocado. Watermelon slice. Back here. Okay, I think that brought that stem a little more forward. Okay. I really like that tulip. It's very simple, very elegant. Alright, I'm going to put the stand together and see if there is anything that I want to add to this. And then these little things. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the stand. And these things go on here. Very simple, yet elegant. And you can paint another flower or something else on the back. I was thinking maybe I would paint a poppy on the back of this one. I don't know. I was thinking after I painted this I might want to do something around the edges, but I think I like it just the way it is. I think it turned out beautiful. We used very few colors on this project, and I think this will make a wonderful, wonderful gift for anyone who has a cell phone. Mother's Day is coming up, so this would be a quick, easy project to do for Mother's Day. Alright, that's it. We have it done. Thanks for painting with me.